Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Schlage. This is their part number L283-061. This is a spindle and spring. This is used on doors that are from 2-inch to 3.5-inch in thickness. And yes, this is longer than what a standard spindle and spring would certainly look like. I like the Schlage system of doing this, how their system goes together. What happens here is the spindle is going to go, it's going to seat into the hub of the mortise lock. Your spring cage will sit over it. And the spring that is here is when you put the trim on, the trim will compress the spring. Well, that forces the spindle to want to stay in contact with the mortise case, okay? Because when you put that spindle on, that trim on, you're securing it down to the spindle naturally. So pretty neat design. It works very well based on my experience and, having worked on these locks for years, decades. The diameter of, the size of the key stock is 5/16 by 5/16. It's literally 0.312 by 0.313. Overall length, 2.751, 2.751. The length from the shoulder stop to the end of the tailpiece is 2.263. 2.263 from the shoulder stop down to the tip of that item. Let's now switch to the screen view where we can take a closer look at some supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here's the item that we are looking at. Let's take a look at some images that we have posted, just to bring you a closer look at what the item appears to be. That's the part that sits down into the hub of the mortise lock. Just different images. Not too much else to see there. The shoulder. Okay, now there is there's a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page. And what we're going to do is, and there's also a link to a parts listing as well. When we get to the manufacturer's page, click on Service Manual, which is right here, at least at this time. And then when that document loads, we'll do a find function on our keyboard for L283-061, and we'll let that index. But it will show up pretty quickly. It shows up in the 1,000+ page service manual a couple of times. Trim assembly parts, 283-061 for 2 to 3.5-inch doors. So that's a listing of the item itself. Now let's take a look at, let's say, an L9080 exploded parts drawing. Or just a typical lock anyway. So that's our part, our AA part. Spring cage fits over it. Your screws and or mounting posts, your trim is obviously going to fit right over all of that. Okay, that's how that looks. Now part AA will be in the itemized listing here. Spring and spindle and spring. So the standard door thickness is 060 is that part number. We're dealing with a thicker door. Interesting way to be able to not only find the background of what this 061 spring and spindle is, but also its surrounding products for that same lock. Okay. On that manufacturer's page, there is also a means by which to get to the manufacturer's website. You can also view all of the Schlage products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation. Other useful encyclopedic documents. Primus service manual is here. Speaking of keying, we have the Everest service manual here. the AD and CO, the electronic lock series installation instructions. There's going to be template master index. All kinds of fun things are here. In addition to that, we have some archival catalogs. If you want to see what Schlage was making in 1972, there would be your catalog. Let's just let that load. Get that document to load, and it's neat to be able to walk back into time. What's on the yeah, I was trying to figure out what building that was in the background there. It escapes me. I don't know what it is. This is a Schlage G-Lock. That's discontinued a long time ago. That was a double locking sort of scenario. I don't recall if it was interconnected, but what was interesting about the G-Lock is that it featured a removable core. You could pull the core out of the door with that G-Lock. Anyway, pretty interesting to be able to look at what Schlage was doing many years ago. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Other considerations to make when you're working on an unusual thickness door, other considerations to make, to think about with an unusual thickness door would be things like, well, first of all, you've got an unusual thickness door, but where's the lock centered, or where's the lock positioned in that door? Is it centered? Is it offset to one end? Is it extended equally? Is it extended unequally? That will impact all of the parts that you're working on, but namely, it's going to impact the length of the spindle or spindles. If you had a 5-inch thick door and you were installing the lock centered, if you were installing the lock extended unequally, you could end up needing a long spindle like this on one side and then a much shorter spindle on the other side. You would also need to think about the mounting posts. Those mounting posts that go through the spring cages, those change with door thickness. Obviously, number 3 would be the length of a mortise cylinder or the spindle on a thumb turn, the lip length on a strike plate. All of that matters. You can have the easiest situation is a door thickness, an unusual door thickness, and the lock is centered. Then you know, based on the hand of the door, well, then you know what you need to do. It doesn't really matter so much the hand of the door. You're centering it within the door. If you are taking an otherwise standard door, let's say 1 3/4, then you're adding 1 inch of panel onto the door, a decorative fabric panel. That happens in high-end retail all the time. Depending on the side of the door, the push side or the pull side, some parts are going to have to be longer. Other parts are just going to stay the same. So if you had a recent project that comes to mind, high-end retail, a high-end watch manufacturer in Boston building a new retail space, their doors were reverse bevel, 1 3/4 thick doors with 1 inch applied panels. Obviously, the cylinder needed to be extended by 1 inch. The length of the strike plate needed to be extended. That spindle on the one side needed to be extended, but the stuff on the egress side or the push side of the door, that's standard because the lock was centered within that 1 3/4 thick door. So if it's a push side extended unequally or a pull side, your parts will change. The same scenario if it was in swing. Well, that outswing you need the longer lip strike, but if it was the same scenario as an in swing, you're going to need, most definitely, if you had an unusual thickness door, you don't need a longer lip strike, because we're assuming that fabric panel is mounted to the face of the door, and that door is obviously on the push side where there's going to be the small rabbet and then the stop. So you would still require a longer cylinder for the one side, a longer spindle, but your strike doesn't have to be extended because now it's on the inside of that opening. Anyway, more things to think about when you're doing this, and what really helps when you are working on extended lock applications or unusual thickness doors, look at the installation instructions. What, in your opinion, will be impacted when the thickness of that door changes? Spindle length on thumb turns, mortise cylinder length, strike lip length, spindle length, mounting post length, all of that is going to need to be taken into consideration. And frankly, sometimes it's a hassle, but you have to get it all right, or, you know, if you're missing one spindle, you don't have a lock that's going to work. The good news, though, if you're new to trying to sort this stuff out, is Schlage is exceptional when it comes to technical support, as are Schlage's sister companies, Von Duprin, LCN, Glenn Johnson, Ives, Monarch, Falcon, Doramatic, Zero. Who knows how many I'm forgetting. There's a culture of excellence there with technical support. And if that doesn't work, reach out to us. That's our role as a distributor, to support you to make sure you get the right product. Any questions on the Schlage L283 061 spindle spring for a 2-inch through 3.5-inch thick door? Why would you have that range? Because the trim is going to accept the spindle to go in much further. That's why. Any questions or any other comments, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.